Mayor Lightfoot losing after just one term and not even making it to the runoff. That's the first loss for an incumbent since 1983. Tell us the main reasons for her loss.
Well, I think there's several reasons. Number one, crime is a big issue here in Chicago, and there has been the perception, at least the perception, if not the reality, over the last couple of years in particular, that her administration was not doing enough to fight violent crime, because on her watch, overall, violent crime is up. So that is a big problem, and that is what Paul Vallis, who is headed to the runoff, that was what he was running on, his big platform. So I think that was one thing. Another thing is the mayor had been criticized by many, including many aldermen. There's 50 aldermen here in Chicago for being, she's sort of criticized for being combative, for not being collaborative, for shutting doors and not working with people, sort of her way or the highway at times. And I think that didn't help her, and it certainly didn't help her public image. COVID was tough. The pandemic was tough. People have mixed opinions about how she handled that. So I think those were really the main factors as to why she did not make it to the runoff.
You bleeps, what the bleep were you thinking, she's alleged to have said. You make some kind of secret agreement with Italians. You're out there measuring your blank with the Italians, seeing who's got the biggest blank. The mayor allegedly adding, I am trying to keep Chicago police officers from being shot, and you were trying to get them shot. My bleep is bigger than yours and the Italians, and I have the biggest bleep in Chicago.
Who raised you?
Crime soared under Lightfoot's watch. Since 2019, murders jumped nearly 40%, and car thefts skyrocketed a whopping 140%. Meanwhile, a recent poll shows that an overwhelming number of Chicagoans say that the city is on the wrong track.
Thank you, Clarence Thomas.
Oh, you Clarence Thomas!
He thinks that we are going to stand idly by when they take our rights.
She then tweeted out this regarding it. She said, I said what I said.
Who raised you?
Now, those of you who have your Bible, Pastor, did they really think I was going to come up here and talk to this congregation and not know my Bible? Those of you who have your Bible, turn with me to Deuteronomy chapter 31. Deuteronomy chapter 31. Deuteronomy. Obviously, we didn't win the election today, but I stand here with my head held high and a heart full of gratitude. I am grateful to the millions of Chicagoans who came together as we made tough decisions, saw the struggles of our frontline workers, and beat back a deadly pandemic.
All right.
I'm grateful that we worked together to remove a record number of guns off our streets, reduce homicides, and started making real progress on public safety.
All right.
Lori has had her chance, and since Lori Lightfoot's been in office, it seems like crime has got worse, and we need a change in Chicago for the next generation, and our seniors here, they need to be protected. We should feel safer on Chicago streets than what we are since Lori Lightfoot's been in office. With the state of the city, we need the most drastic, the most rebellious candidate in there. Once he said he's going to chase criminals down like rabbits, that's what got my vote for Mr. Wilson.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to the BCV channel. I'm your host, SaikoWoods. Please do the following: like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell at the bottom of the video. That way, when I go live and post any content, you'll be one of the first to view it. Also, like to support this ministry financially, you can do so by clicking the donation links below at the bottom of this video. We definitely appreciate it. Thank you so much. I want to get to this article because I think this is going to be very important. It happened earlier this week, of course. For those of you who know, this lady is no longer is no longer mayor. And I'm not even from Chicago, y'all. And I'm just elated and happy to know this. But let me share the link with you. She's no longer mayor. Mayor Lori Lightfoot loses the runoff election. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot loses re-election bid.
Lori Lightfoot.
Paul Vallis, Brandon Johnson headed to April runoff. And just read a little bit of this article and then share my thoughts about it. Paul Vallis and Brandon Johnson will meet in a runoff to be the next mayor of Chicago after voters on Tuesday denied incumbent Lori Lightfoot a second term, issuing a rebuke to a leader who made history as head of the nation's third largest city. Vallis, a former schools CEO backed by the Public Police Union, and Johnson, a Cook County commissioner endorsed by the Chicago Teachers Union, advanced to the April 4th runoff after none of the 9 candidates was able to secure over 50% of the vote to win outright. Lightfoot, the first black woman and first openly gay person to lead this city, won her first term in 2019 after promising to end decades of corruption and backroom dealing at City Hall. But opponents blame Lightfoot as an increase in crime and criticize her as being a divisive, overly contentious leader. And receipts don't lie. I'm just going to tell y'all that. But let's continue. She's the first elected Chicago mayor to lose a re-election bid since 1983, when Jack Byrne, the city's first female mayor, lost her Democratic primary. Speaking to supporters Tuesday night, Lightfoot called being Chicago's mayor, quote, the honor of a lifetime. Regardless of tonight's outcome, we fought the right fights and we put this city on a better path. I don't know where she must be smoking something. She told her fellow mayors around the country not to fear being bold. At his victory party, Vallis noted that Lightfoot had called to congratulate him and asked the crowd to give her a round of applause. In a nod to his campaign promise to combat pride, he said that if elected, he would work to address public safety issues. We will have a safe Chicago. We will make Chicago the safest city in America, Vallis said. Well, I'm just going to say this before I continue on. It looks like almost every time a Democrat has been in office in these cities like Chicago, Detroit, Baltimore, you name it, it doesn't work out for the citizens. It always seems to be worse. But let's continue. Lightfoot's loss, looking at the next paragraph here, Lightfoot's loss is unusual for mayors in large cities who have tended to win re-election with relative ease. But it is also a sign of the turmoil in U.S. cities following the COVID-19 pandemic and its economic fallout and spikes in violent crime in many places. Public safety has been an issue in other recent elections, including the recall of a San Francisco district attorney who was criticized for progressive policies. The pandemic also may shape elections for mayor in other cities this year, such as Philadelphia and Houston, where incumbents cannot run again due to term limits. Thank God that Sylvester Turner is getting the heck up out of here. But anyway, let's continue on. I'm going to read at the bottom of this because I want you to read some of the things that these people believe and what they're going to hold to. Johnson says has avoided the word defund during the race, and his campaign says he does not want to cut the number of police officers. But in a 2020 radio interview, Johnson said defunding is not just a slogan, but an actual real political goal. And he sponsored a non-binding resolution on the county board to redirect money from policing and jails to social services. Crime was an issue that resonated with voters. Rita DiPietro, who lives downtown, said she supported Lightfoot in 2019, which I don't know why, but she voted for Vallis on Tuesday, saying she was impressed by his detailed strategy to address public safety. Quote, the candidates all talk about what they'd like to do, she said. This guy actually has a plan. He knows how he's going to do it, end quote. Lindsay Haggerty, a 30-year-old paralegal who lives in Chicago on Chicago's north side, said she backed Johnson because he seemed like the most progressive candidate on issues like policing, mental health, and public transit. Race is also a factor as candidates courted votes in the highly segregated city, which is closely divided in population among Black, Hispanic, and white residents. Vallis was the only white candidate in the field. Lightfoot, Johnson, and 5 other candidates are Black. though Lightfoot argued she was the only black candidate who could win. U.S. Representative Jesus Chuy Garza was the only Latino in the race. Lightfoot accused Valles of using the ultimate dog whistle by saying his campaign is about taking back our city and of cozying up to the president of the Fraternal Order of Police, whom she calls a racist. A recent Chicago Tribune story also found Valles' Twitter account had liked racist tweets and tweets that mocked Lightfoot's appearance and referred to her as masculine. Well, can you really accuse him of lying on the masculine part? I mean, really, have we seen her?
He ain't lying.
Lightfoot touted her record of investing in neighborhoods and supporting workers, such as by increasing the minimum wage to $15 an hour. She also noted that the city had navigated unprecedented challenges such as the pandemic and its economic and public safety fallout to protests over policing. But Lightfoot and some of her supporters saw some of the criticism of her leadership as motivated by racism, sexism, and anti-gay sentiment. No other mayor has been asked to change this city within 4 years, said City Treasurer Measure Conyers Irvin, who is black, and noted that white mayors like Rahm Emanuel and Richard Daley served multiple terms. We get in the game and the rules change. No, just y'all suck as leaders. And I don't know for the life of me why anybody would vote for a Democrat. The policies are trash. I mean, just look at what they hold to. But let's continue. Valles, who had led school systems in Chicago, New Orleans, and Philadelphia, lost a 2019 bid for mayor. This time, he was laser focused on public safety, saying police officers who left the force under Lightfoot's administration will return if he's elected. The other candidates were businessman Willie Wilson, Chicago City Council member Sophia King and Roderick Sawyer, activist Jamal Green, and state rep Kabiem Cam Buckner. Now, I read all that, just wanted to get that information out, but let me share my concern with this whole entire thing. Now, and I'm just going to come at it from a Christian standpoint, because if you saw the clips that I played earlier, Lori Lightfoot is speaking at a church. I forgot the name of the church, but you know the individuals that were there, Charlie Dates, and I think his name is James Meeks, I believe. But nonetheless, black churches. It seems to me that black churches are the most gullible when it comes to allowing politicians and people to come in to gaslight them for their vote, and nothing changes in these communities. My issue, my umbrage and angst that I have is with the church. It's with the church. It's one thing when the world, supports these candidates. How can you support a person that basically, I'm talking about black people now. How can you support a candidate who basically is destroying the very fabric of the black family? A husband and a wife, mother and father. This woman, she can't help the black family. If anything, she's helping destroy it. And actually, she's done that with its policies. Crime on the uprise. Thefts, murders. This is why they call Chicago Chirac. And businesses have been leaving by the droves. So hopefully, just hopefully, things will change in Chicago. But I'm skeptical about it, even though I don't live there. But you guys let me know what you think. Do you think having these new runoff candidates is going to help change Chicago for the better? Or do you think it's going to be the same old talking points? You guys know what I think about it, because I don't really see it being any different. Just changing the person in the chair. But the policies don't change. You're going to have the same thing, if not worse. I hope it does change, though. But that's just my thoughts. But you all let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm trying to see something.